My name is Carrie Kirkella, and this is the L.E.N.S method origin story. I created the L.E.N.S method through my journey with mental health and also as a photographer. So I'm an award-winning fine art and commercial photographer based in Brooklyn, New York City. The image on the right is of my husband and our now 7-year-old son. And the images on the left are some work I've done for clients. So some of the work I've done has been for household name brands and also editorial photography clients, universities. I love, though, working with more purpose-driven brands to help share their stories, to connect emotionally with their audiences. But I always knew that my purpose work in the world was going to be bigger than as a photographer. And some of my fine art photography images here, the image on the left is behind the scenes of dance recitals. The image in the middle is portrait of sisters, and the image on the right is in Coney Island. So one of the main catalysts for why I created the L.E.N.S method is because I lost my sister to breast cancer. She passed away when she was just 40 years old, and she had only been diagnosed 4 months before passing away. And she left behind a daughter, my niece, pictured here on the right, who was just 10 years old at the time. And my sister was very dedicated to helping instill confidence in young girls in her area, in addition to the importance of helping her own daughter, kind of learn the importance of self-image right from the start. Sorry about that. My mouse is jumpy today. So I feel like her legacy is sort of infused into the L.E.N.S method because I also work with teenagers in my programs. And I really, a lot of my journey has been about self-worth as well. So I went through a deep depression after I lost her, and a friend eventually recommended that I start photographing sisters. So to help process my grief. So I started photographing sisters, and then it led me to start creating images of sisters with their um, sisters where one had been through breast cancer, which led me to meet the founder and creator of Ana Ono Intimates, who she creates loungewear and sleepwear for women who've had reconstructive surgery for breast cancer. And she started having fashion shows in New York City as part of New York Fashion Week as a way to help raise funds and awareness for stage 4 breast cancer research, which receives the least amount of funding. And I did this work for 4 years in memory of my sister Renee. And I was really passionate about it, but I also knew that it wasn't really fully my story, and it really wasn't my purpose work in the world. And so the last one that I photographed was when I was very pregnant with my son. I was about to give birth. I gave birth within the next couple of weeks, and I ended up having postpartum psychosis and then postpartum anxiety. And I know that that was a huge catalyst for how I created the L.E.N.S method and why I created the L.E.N.S method. I really feel passionate about helping other people through mental health and also just breaking down stigmas around mental health and really sharing our stories as a way to heal and to grow. I love this quote. It says, "The moment a child is born, a mother is also born." I feel like I'm a completely different person since having my son 7 years ago, and the world has changed as well. I, as part of my healing journey, I was going through check-in appointments. When I had an infant, I was going through, postpartum anxiety and taking my son with me to Bellevue Hospital to go for check-in appointments there. And there was one day I noticed an exhibit in the lobby, and it was these beautiful images of flowers that I had read the little placard, and it said that the woman who created them had passed away by suicide, and her sister created this exhibit in memory of her. And I just was so moved by that. And I think that one of the things that really drives me is this feeling like I have a way to help people avoid that, and avoid really truly suffering. I'm really passionate about sharing it, and I hope that it can help people. And I know now that it does help people, from the work that I've done in the world. So I'm starting to share more about it because I would love to have it in the hands of more people. And I realized that, if I could help share my story and some of what I've been through, and also, my work in the world as a photographer, and if it could help other people in some way, then that would be a legacy that I could be proud of, and to inspire my son with as well. So, in the beginning of the pandemic in 2020, that was another real huge catalyst for creating the L.E.N.S method. It was a time when my husband and son and I got to escape the city for a couple of months. We went and stayed at my in-laws' condo in Rehoboth Beach in Delaware, which was amazing because I hadn't been surrounded by nature since I was a teenager. I had lived in Brooklyn for most of my life. And I I started photographing self-portraits as a way to help share my story about my mental health journey and the importance of sleep and mental health in this example. My son was 2 years old and not yet sleeping through the night. And the image on the bottom right is when I was in the thick of postpartum anxiety and when he was still a newborn. And I really didn't know why I would make these images occasionally, but I knew that there was a reason for it. And I've never shared that image before. So it feels a little vulnerable, but I feel like the time is now. So this is a quote that I love by George Bernard Shaw. Life isn't about finding yourself. Life is about creating yourself. So during this time, during the pandemic, this was Earth Day, and this is a little series of images that I'll read the captions. And when I later reflected back on these images, I thought anyone with access to a smartphone or a digital camera could do this process and benefit from it. So it says, on Earth Day, Gavin and I talked about his fear of the wind, which began recently when a strong breeze blew his beloved hat off his head. Each time a strong breeze comes through, he runs to me to pick him up. While holding him, I spotted this dandelion, which effortlessly clung to its stem despite the wind. I'll do my best to teach you that you're stronger than you think you are, and remind myself of the same in the process. Later, we realized a lot of the things that were going on with him, not being able to sleep and having pretty strong anxiety. He is on the spectrum, essentially, and super high functioning, but there's been two times in his little life where he hasn't been able to wear clothes, tolerate the feeling of clothes on his body for months at a time. And this is the first time that happened, and I really had no idea what was happening. But I made this little series of images, and I was feeling the sun on my face. I was super grateful that we had sunlight in our apartment. And I, later reflected back on these images and tried to sort of think about, why is this happening for me versus why is this happening to me? And that's really a huge part of what the L.E.N.S method is all about. So I'm super inspired by thought leaders like Eckhart Tolle and authors. And this is a quote by him that says, every fragment of self-talk is a little story in the head that goes around. And then you look at reality through the lens of that little story. The L.E.N.S method is an acronym. L.E.N.S stands for light, empathy, now, and storytelling. I'll just go over this quickly. Light photography is literally about the study of light, and it's also inspired by the term namaste, which translates to mean the light in me sees and salutes the light in you. The E in L.E.N stands for empathy. When we share our photos in a group program, it helps to um, foster a sense of empathy for each other, and it also helps you have more self-compassion and empathy for yourself. The N in L.E.N stands for now, meaning present moment. creating still images can help us slow down and be more present in the moment and help you get into a creative flow state. The S in L.E.N stands for storytelling, meaning creating images, right? Storytelling images, but it's also about the inner stories that we tell ourselves. So I'll leave you with this. There are only two ways to live your life. One is though nothing is a miracle, the other is though everything is a miracle by Albert Einstein. Thank you.